Yep.
Perfect. Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Honda Classic Virtual Press Conference. We are joined here with two-time Honda Classic champion, Padraig Harrington. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just a reminder for all media, if you guys have a question, please use the chat function to list your name and media outlet, and we will call on you. Padraig, you're making your 7th start of the season and coming off of a tied for 31 finish from the Arnold Palmer Invitational. How would you assess your game so far this season?
I've kind of struggled to get going with having had COVID at Pebble Beach, and then I missed a cut at Arizona, had COVID, and then I went into AT&T or Riviera and missed a cut there after a quick no practice round. So those 3 weeks were kind of lost on me. I was quite happy to get back into the flow of things. Playing down in Puerto Rico was good. Arnold Palmer, I showed some good form at times. I didn't drive the ball very well. I wasn't very comfortable, but I was happy with the rest of my game. And probably a week off last week is not what I needed. And hopefully I can get my head around things and be ready to go Thursday. I certainly didn't feel ready today on Tuesday.
You'll be making your 12th appearance here at the Honda and two-time champion. Is it nice to be back on familiar turf where it's a place that you have seen success?
Yeah, no, I say I like the golf course. It's a tough golf course, and I think that plays into my hands. I think the wind obviously suits me. So yeah, there's the two parts of the course being a lot of really difficult shots. You've got to be very mentally strong, committed to your shots, which has been one of my strengths over the years. And then the windy nature of the course again plays into my hands. So yeah, it's a course I would like to play tournament. Yeah, this is a strange statement. I'd like to play tournament golf on a course like this every week, but I know it would beat you up eventually. It is one of the tougher courses of the year. So yeah, you'll be tired if you play all 4 rounds here and get in contention. You'll be tired on Sunday evening because you've got to pay attention at all stages out here. There's plenty of trouble that can nearly not only ruin a round, but nearly ruin a tournament in a very quick couple of shots.
Speaking of difficulty, how does the Bear Track stack up against other courses on tour like the Snake Pit and Green Mile and Horrible Horseshoe?
Where is the Horrible Horseshoe? Colonia. Well, there you go. I'm more. Yeah, look, the ones here, they're obviously the 2 par 3s are a little shorter now with 17. We used to play it as a 4-iron. Now it's probably a 7-iron with the forward tee. But there's no bailouts. There's nowhere to go. You got to really hit a great shot. And with the grandstands and things, it's difficult angle to find the wind on. And I think that probably is what makes the Bear Trap so difficult. The wind direction. Even on 16, you're never 100% sure how much you've changed direction, how much it's across or down. So yeah, there's a little bit of doubt thrown into the mix, and they're obviously very difficult shots with no bailout. So I would think if you went down through it, I think this is probably the toughest stretch, the toughest 3-hole stretch. Certainly 15 and 17, and now 14's right up there, 16, and if you're going for 18 again, it adds into there's more drama, more water. You really don't get away from it around here at PGA National. There's that front 9 through 5, 6. There's a lot of drama and holes that could keep you awake at night.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shane Ryan. Shane, go ahead.
Hi, Patrick. I got a Ryder Cup question for you, if you don't mind. I was looking at your playing record, and you've had a lot of success, but I wanted to ask you a question about the 2 that you didn't win, in Brookline and in Valhalla. 2 very different kinds of losses, one that feels really flukish, and one that was sort of a decisive victory that may have rocked the European system a little bit. And as a captain now, I'd love your perspective on what you learned from each of those 2 playing losses.
Okay, have we got that much time? Obviously, Brookline I was a rookie. As a rookie, you just keep your head down and do your thing. I would have been very exciting week. It was a great week for me. Personally, just so exciting. I'd only just got into the team by finishing second the two previous events. So, but do you learn anything? I think Mark James tried something that week, and he really did take one for the team, because it will never be done again, not playing the rookies before the singles. But he went all out to get as many points as he could going into those singles, and it clearly, in hindsight, I don't think any captain will ever do it again. So, but somebody had to try it. So pretty straightforward. I think Valhalla, I don't think there was anything to be learned from Valhalla. It was just I suppose there was, actually. Look, the US were a better team, straightforward, on a golf course that suited them. We didn't gel very well together. We didn't really have too many. I would have been a senior player there, Lee Westwood, Miguel Angel Jimenez. We didn't really have a leader in the team room. I think maybe not picking Darren Clark was probably one of the big mistakes of that Ryder Cup. You do need a personality in the team room. We didn't have a Monty. Darren would have done that job. So I think, if you look back, you could certainly look to that pick, because it was a little bit missing. In that team room, there was nobody. I just won a couple of majors. I wasn't going to, I was too busy doing my own thing to be trying to take over that responsibility, and we were missing that for sure. We were missing a leader in the locker room, and whether it would have made difference to the result, as I said, seemed like a very strong US team. They seemed to be playing on a golf course that I think Europe would always struggle to beat America on a traditional US golf course. So yeah. I'm sure there was lots more I learned, and that I'm going to keep to myself.
On that topic of having a leader, does it make you feel good that Lee Westwood playing so well recently?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the sort of things you want. You'd love to have experienced guys who are playing well. You can't just have an experienced guy for the sake of it. You want an experienced guy playing well, and it's great to see Lee is playing well. And I will look at my team and look at the balance, and certainly Lee, you would probably ask him to do a little bit more than just play golf that week. But I'm looking at it, and I seem to be getting a nice balance so far. The majority of the people who are going to qualify automatic look like it's that side of my team is really taking shape. Obviously, Lee playing his way in, in some ways, looks like he's played his way in. Frees up another spot for a pick, which will help some of the senior guys, because I do have a number of senior players who are unlikely to make the team automatically. So, yeah, everything about Lee playing well is a bonus for me.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Patrick.
We'll go over to Bernie McGuire for the next question.
Padraig, you there?
Hi, Bernie.
Listen, just on the back of your answer in relation to Lee's big move up the Ryder Cup points table, you must have been pleased as a fellow Irishman that Shane's made a big leap, and also probably a timely leap too, with the majors coming up.
Yeah, I don't think he made any leap though. He finished 8th last week.
He jumped 5 places on the world table.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good sort of boost. He's only about, I think he's 4 places outside of the top 5 on that world points table.
Okay. I think I've been playing with Shane. Shane's been playing very, very, probably the best golf I've ever seen him play of recent. He hasn't been putting very well. So, as I've said about a few players, I'm never unhappy to see a player playing well, but not quite getting the results at this time of the year, because, I know they're going to turn around for Shane, and I can see good form there. And when it does turn around, it's going to be at the appropriate time of the year. It's going to be coming into the, as you said, the majors, and then following up into the Ryder Cup. So, looking from the outside, you just tell Shane just to let it happen. It's obviously very easy to say that, not as easy to do as a player but he is playing very well, tee to green, and I am keeping an eye on him like I am all the other players who are there or thereabouts. And it is strange that Shane would be a rookie, but you do kind of think of him as a senior player.
Yeah. And just one last question for me, and also another fellow Irishman in Rory McIlroy. you talk about form at the right time. He's the sort of player that can produce form at the right time. And are you surprised somewhat his revelation last week that he's been trying to copy Bryson DeChambeau, and probably that's sort of got inside his head, and probably a small point why he's not playing so well.
Yeah, look, I could turn around to you and say, we've seen many players on the range doing that, and many players, and Rory the same. It's not like I haven't done it myself, so I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on him. Right from the get-go, I'm surprised in 1996 that most people didn't recognise it with Tiger, that he had a tremendous advantage off the tee and try and keep up. I'm startled. Rory used that tool exactly in 2010 and 2011 and Rory's long hitting and just hitting more drivers allowed the likes of DJ, Bubba Watson, JP Holmes, they were all trying to play golf like the rest of us at that stage. And when Rory came out and started hitting drivers on more holes, being more aggressive off the tee, that's when you started seeing these guys freeing up and going, oh, maybe we should hit drivers. What you do see on the tour now is pretty much the whole field now hits drivers on holes that, especially I go back to a course like this where I've played over the years. Holes that used to be a 3-wood layup, off the tee. Now everybody hits driver. We all push that risk, and the reason we do it is, if one guy's hitting driver, and Bryson being out there on his own is okay at the moment. If there's only one guy, Davis Love in the 80s was out there on his own. The field doesn't have to worry about one guy. Even Bryson obviously is a good player, a great player, so they do have to worry about him, but not excessively about his length. Obviously in 5-10 years time there's going to be 10-20 guys hitting it like that, so I wouldn't like to be a young guy coming out on tour who didn't have a lot of speed, because he's going to be, if he wants to compete in tour for the next 10, 15, 20 years, at some stage he's going to have to hit it up there, because there'll be, as I said, 10, 20, 30 guys doing it. So, but you don't have to do it right now. At the moment, 180 ball speed is plenty good enough. Rory has that easily, is the best driver of the ball in the game. So he doesn't need to worry about it himself. But if you're trying to hang around for 10 years, you might have to think about trying to get those 190 ball speeds.
Okay, thanks for your time, and happy Valentine. Happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry.
I didn't know you thought about me like that, Bernie.
Freudian, sorry about that.
And we'll go over to Brian Rowitz.
Patty, going back to the Bear Cup, it obviously has a little bit of a reputation with fans and having fun out there. How do you anticipate it being different this year with the fewer fans being a part of it?
Oh, yeah, I think they've struck a very nice balance. They had struck a nice balance. Maybe three years ago we used the back tee on 17 and the crowds were very close, and it was, with a 4-iron in your hand, it was a bit over the top. Now we're up at tee box, as I said, it's a 7-iron. I think those are really nerve-wracking holes. So to be honest, you don't want it too quiet. So you want a nice ambient noise. I think there will be enough people to create that. Quiet is not good. Quiet is tough. Like, you can hear things if it's quiet, or something can jump out if it's quiet. So I think there will be enough people to create a nice ambient noise, which is exactly what you want. And if there was a lot of people, then you have a quite a loud, dull noise, which is also good as well. Like I would be one if we were on the 16th at Phoenix. That I would not ask I don't want anybody to be shushed. I'd rather them to keep making noise, because, as I said, once there's a lot of noise, you can't hear it, you can't pick out anything individually. But this week I would assume there would be a nice ambient noise, and don't worry, the players will be nervous. There's enough tension in them that they will focus in. It's easier to focus when you're under a bit of pressure, a bit of nerve. So I think it will do just okay.
Thank you.
And the final question will come from Tim Reynolds.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for doing this. I kind of wanted to ask you, it was sort of along the Lee Westwood lines as well. He's almost been like a crowd favorite the last couple of weeks. And what does that, I mean, what does that boost mean for a European player when you can come over to the States and I mean, you've had this pretty much your whole career. I don't know if this is exactly a new phenomenon for Lee or not, but it seems like it's ramped up a lot, especially in the last couple of weeks. How much does that help?
Yeah, I think, obviously Lee was at one stage the best player in the world. It's kind of gone through that phase that he's now come back as an older player, and even for his non-fans, they respect what he's doing at the moment. That they're not looking at him as the opposition, and in some ways, you have Lee got the support of the anti-Bryson support. The people who are looking at Bryson hitting it so far, and there's a distinct amount of people that don't want Bryson to do well because he's hitting it so far, and they want the game to be back to what I suppose their ideals, and Lee does represent that, more of a nice straight hitter of the ball, good ball striker, hitting fairways and greens. So there's a lot of people that would have been rooting for the guy, anybody going up against Bryson sort of thing. But as I said, there's also a lot rooting for Lee because of the stage in his career, and people are kind of going, wow, we're wishing him well, we'd like to see him get a major, that sort of attitude, because maybe if he was in the pinnacle of his career, maybe if he was 30 years of age, he would be seen as an outsider, but now he's seen as a warm and friendly guy coming over here at his age. Isn't it nice to see? And wouldn't it be a great story? And it would be a great story to see him do it. So yeah, I think he definitely had, as you said, he had a very nice, warm support. Everybody wishing him to do well, and the great thing about it as well, there didn't seem to be any, I suppose, judgment or negativity to, they just were going, let's hope he does well and win. A young guy at the start of the career, everybody's looking at and going, well, what does this mean? If he doesn't win after leading, with Lee, there didn't seem to be that judgment. It was just, let's see how he gets on and let's hope he does well.
I won't say Happy Valentine's Day, but I will wish you a Happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
I will accept that. Day named after me. Or was I named after the day?
Could go either way. Be nice, Jimmy, be nice.
All right, I lied. We have one more final question over to Brian Lackey. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Padraig. Going back to what you were saying to Bernie, not about Valentine's Day, but about distance, I seem to recall there was a point in your career that you were chasing some distance. What happened? What was the outcome, I guess?
Oh, yeah, I'm chasing distance every day of my life. Yeah, you obviously don't. No, the one thing I'm obsessed about is chasing distance. So, yeah, it's something I started doing, as I said, when I came out as a pro. My very first at the orientation, it was called the McGregor Week back then. I remember gaining 20 yards, and this is fabulous. And my whole life, I've looked to try and stay competitive. I suppose it definitely has cost me at times. There's no doubt about it. I'd be looking at speed and focusing on my training at times more than just being mentally sharp at tournaments. So yeah, there was definitely a downside, and I see the addiction of chasing speed, and I see the problem of, if somebody, and I see these young guys, not young guys, medium-aged guys go out there, if you're chasing speed and you hit a good drive down the fairway, you should be very happy, but you're standing there thinking, I wonder, could I hit it 5 yards further? I wonder what speed that was. I wonder, would it have been this or that? So it is, and there's no satisfaction in it. I would thoroughly recommend to a young guy to do it early so that he comes out with speed and never has to worry about it. But the fact that I have chased it, means that I'm 49 years of age and I don't go out on the golf course giving up anything to anybody in terms of, in terms of speed. Like, I'm a 190 ball speed guy in practice. I just don't bring it to the golf course, which is very upsetting for me. But there's very few people on tour who can get 190 ball speed. So, in terms of one-off practice, I'm I'm in the top 5% anyway, or top 1%, I suppose, out on tour. Not in my tournament play, but that does annoy me. But as I said, because of the work I've done, it means I can still compete with the young guys at 49 years of age. But there are sacrifices, you know, at times. As I said, I have been distracted by speed and the lack of, as I said, it really is something you never can be satisfied with. So it's, I don't know, it's a bit of a Pandora's box you get into. And I see the guys getting into it. I could see Rory getting into it. And, you know, I talked to Rory about it, and I have to say, I didn't, you know, I couldn't have said I warned them away from it, but certainly I would have talked to many players and just said, look, you're going down a road that you might have to go down, you might want to go down, you might have to make that mistake yourself, but it really is it's a tough one. If you're not long enough and you need a bit more length, you might have to do it. But it's, as I said, I by the way, I haven't seen anybody in my career gain speed when they're on tour except for Bryson. He's the only person. Nobody else has gained speed on tour. Now, I'm not talking about everybody's gained the mile an hour when the new ball comes out or the new driver. So we've all crept up. When I started doing speed work, the first monitor I got was in 2000. Like 169 was my ball speed. Now I can crack out 192 on the range if you want to put a few dollars on it, I'll make 192, a little bit of incentive. So that's how much I've increased my speed in training. Maybe I've increased on the golf course by 10 mile an hour ball speed, but Bryson is the only one that's actually in a given year. I know Bryson, I saw Bryson get 189 mile an hour ball speed at Portrush on a cold day on the range. So he probably had a lot of that speed in there, but the fact he can bring it out on the golf course, as I say, I can bring it out on the range, I just can't bring it out on the golf course. That is an incredible achievement, that he can bring it out under pressure and keep it on the planet, because I know when I go for speed in the golf course, there isn't a big enough golf course for me.
And then just a quick follow, hopefully, where do you think the line is in terms of speed for the future? And do you think we'll have a point where there will be something done to curtail distance at some point, whatever that may be?
Okay, I think, right, I got to think this through. One, everybody argues about speed, and the argument always tends to go about whether you like people who hit it long and playing golf with long hitting or you don't. That argument is personal opinion. You can't argue. Some person likes it, some person doesn't like it. Whether the golf is more fun or not more fun, that is purely down to each individual person. So anybody's arguing that on social media, it's crazy, because it's just personal opinion. It's not a factual argument. I would say, though, golf ball going further means it's more expensive to build a golf course. It's more expensive to maintain a golf course. Golf ball going further definitely slows down the round of golf in terms of it's a longer walk, it takes longer. And that's the biggest issue with golf, is the pace, the time it takes to get around. The golf going further also slows down the style of play, because there's more bottlenecks when people wait in par 4s and par 5s. Golf ball going further has meant that some golf courses are obsolete, some of the great courses, and the golf ball, I shouldn't say golf ball, equipment going further. And it could be an equipment change, it doesn't have to be a ball change. With the ball going further, equipment going further, it also means that golf, and I see this at home, golf is extremely dangerous at home. People wing it off fairways. Like, you go to any regular club in Ireland now, the guys who are 25 years of age are hitting a 340 in the air, and they don't know where it's going. I'm not saying good players, I'm talking just your regular guy is hitting it miles, and you can't keep it on these courses because there's dog legs and all, so it's dangerous. So for those 6 reasons, I think the game, it should be tailed back. But the one thing that nobody seems to be getting in the whole of this argument, it's a massive advantage to the long hitters if they tail back the equipment. If they bring it back, it's a huge... Bryson gains massively if they draw back the equipment. The longer you hit it, if you reduce Bryson by 10%, say he's hitting at 350 and he's now hitting at 315, and you reduce a guy who's hitting at 330, or say 300, and you reduce him to 270. Bryson is, okay, he's still that same percentage ahead, but it's a lot easier to hit the golf ball on a golf course at 315 than it is at 345 or 350. It is an incredible advantage to the long hitters if they tail back how far the ball goes. Like I'm talking, it will encourage even more of a chase along hitting because it's such an advantage. And remember, it doesn't matter what they do with the equipment going forward. You can't change now that you're going to have young guys coming out who swing a 7-iron at 110 mile an hour. And that means that there's no lie in the rough, that there's no tree in the way that they can't get over or can't get out of. As I said, I saw it with Tiger Woods. He in 1996, he destroyed everybody because he was faster. He was a good player and was faster. And Rory did the same thing. Now we're seeing Bryson. He's obviously getting the limelight for it, but it's very impressive. But it will be, he should be screaming for a rollback because it would give him a big advantage.
Great stuff as always. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the questions we have. Thank you, Padraig, for taking the time to do this, and best of luck this week.
You're welcome.